So these 7 areas of life include food, which of course is a huge part of our overall health and well-being. The second one is sleep or getting adequate rest. The third is movement or exercise. The fourth is ceremony, which also includes rituals, habits, routines, prayer, a lot of stuff that goes within that circle of ceremony. The fifth is sacred space or the well-being of your home, your office, even your vehicle, your classroom, wherever space you spend a lot of time, predominantly the home. The sixth circle of wellness is land or connection to earth. And the seventh is community or any type of in-person connection. So these are the 7 circles of wellness. Hi everyone, welcome back to the Well for Culture podcast. This is your host, Chelsea. And today I'm going to share with you an episode about how I approach our method for living well called the 7 circles of wellness. Now, the 7 circles is a method for well-being that my husband Thosh and I designed, and we've been teaching for the better part of a decade. We wrote a book on this topic. It's right here. You can get it anywhere books are sold. And the 7 circles are 7 areas of life that our ancestors from all across Indian country maintained as part of their lifestyle in order to maintain good health and well-being. We've identified these 7 areas of life that impact your physical, mental, spiritual, and emotional well-being and health. And these are 7 areas of life that not only did our ancestors utilize in order to thrive, but that maintain relevance even in today's world, and that we should focus on today in order to be healthy and well. So these 7 areas of life include food, which of course is a huge part of our overall health and well-being. The second one is sleep or getting adequate rest. The third is movement or exercise. The fourth is ceremony, which also includes rituals, habits, routines, prayer, a lot of stuff that goes within that circle of ceremony. The fifth is sacred space or the well-being of your home, your office, even your vehicle, your classroom, wherever space you spend a lot of time, predominantly the home. The 6th circle of wellness is land or connection to earth. And the 7th is community or any type of in-person connection. So these are the 7 circles of wellness. And our belief is that if you're incorporating all 7 circles into your life in fairly equal measure, at the end of the day, you're going to be living a fairly balanced life. And our belief is that health is not about being perfect. It's about kind of seeking balance. It's something that inevitably is going to get thrown out of balance from time to time. Life isn't perfect. We are human. We do live in a chaotic world, and we deal with different degrees of stress and challenges from time to time. So we're fooling ourselves if we believe that you can do some kind of a 30-day intensive method and all of a sudden you reach this space of perfect health and you're just there. Too many approaches have sort of sold that idea, and all it ends up doing is making people fail and fall off because these approaches are too intense, too extreme, too narrow-minded, and irrespective of the real ups and downs of daily life. So the nice thing about the 7 circles is you can really approach it any way you want to. You can organize it in different ways. You can switch it up how you approach it as the weeks and months and years go on. But today, in the interest of time and kind of just offering a new take on it, I'm going to give you a method for the 7 circles that you can fit into 1 week. And I'm going to give you this example and see if you can challenge yourself to follow 1 circle per day for each of the 7 days of the week. Start from there. And if it goes well, you kind of keep continuing in that cycle. And the long-term goal is that you won't even have to necessarily plan or think about 1 circle per day, per week anymore. All of this stuff will just start to sort of become second nature to you, like it is for me at this point. You'll only have to sort of check in with it or be really methodological with it every so often. So let's try it. Let's try to do 1 circle per day this week. Again, this is just a hypothetical example. You can switch up what circle you're doing on each day of the week. This is just an idea that I'm sharing with you. And we'll start on Sunday. So on Sunday, let's do our circle of sleep. I think sleep is a really good one to start with because on Sunday, that's a day of anticipation. Your weekend is pretty much over, but you're anticipating what the rest of your week is going to look like. A lot of us go into work and we go into school on Monday and we have anxiety about that when Sunday comes. So the best thing that you can do for your health on Sunday in preparation for the rest of the week is to get a really good night of rest. And it might be beneficial to you because you've probably been really busy all weekend. You've probably been running from thing to thing, getting errands done, socializing. You also probably have a busy week ahead of you. And so Sunday is a really good day to kind of reset and rest. In order to get a good night of sleep, here's what I want you to do. Pick a bedtime that is going to allow you to get as many hours as you adequately need in order to feel really well rested. I'm talking to the point where you don't even need an alarm to wake you up in the morning because you've gotten enough hours of rest. For me, because I've experimented with this so much, I'm aware that I need anywhere between 9 to even sometimes 11 hours in order to feel that super reset of rest. Oftentimes, children need a lot more sleep. Oftentimes, women need more sleep than men. Oftentimes, elders or older adults don't need quite as many hours as what a younger person needs. If you've worked out a lot that day, you might end up needing more hours. It really just, however much sleep you need is going to vary quite a bit, and it depends on your lifestyle, your age, a lot of different factors, but figure out what that number is for you and set a bedtime goal accordingly. For me and my kids, if it's a school night for them, we're in bed by 7:30, we're reading books, telling stories, reflecting on our day, having a nice little conversation, and we're asleep by 8. And that gives all of us an adequate amount of sleep in order to be awake and lively by 6 a.m. when it's time to get ready and get them ready for school. So whatever your number is of hours, identify that and set your bedtime goal accordingly and really commit to being in bed by that time. But before you get into bed, you need to prepare your body and your mind for rest. So here's what I want you to do. There's nothing wrong with watching TV. There's nothing wrong with watching movies, but too many of us are in the habit of relying on that as a crutch, sitting ourselves in front of blue light or scrolling on screens late at night right before bed. If you're going to do the screen time, if you're going to do all that, you should try to get out of the way earlier, especially if this is your one day a week where you're really focused and sleep is your wellness task for the day, if you will. Replace that TV watching or that scrolling with something else. I recommend reading a book, maybe doing some writing, drawing, playing a game with your family, going on an evening walk. Whatever it is in your last hours of the day, I want you to replace the screen time with something else. And again, you don't have to do it every single day of the week, but at least on this one Sunday where sleep is your goal. And the other thing I want you to do is starting about, depending on where you live, maybe 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, as the evening starts to come, you are dimming the lights in your home. Ideally, you have lamps that have orange bulbs as opposed to white. You have candles, you have lighting alternatives aside from bright white overhead lights. And you can start to swap out and dim the overall mood and feeling of your home so that you're not overstimulated and that by the time you are ready to crawl in bed, your eyes are more rested, you're more prepared. Just try to think of it like within the walls of your home, you're mimicking that what's happening outside with the sunset. So do those things, set yourself up for a really good night of rest, keep your phone out of your bedroom, go to sleep, and just tell yourself, this is the best way to prepare for the rest of my week. So that's going to start you off with a really good start to your week. And then on Monday, I have selected the circle of sacred space. I think sacred space is such a good one to start the week with because similar to sleep, it's a grounding aspect of wellness. It's part of our wellness routine that's often neglected or overlooked. What does our home have to do with our body and our mind and how good we feel? Well, according to ancestral knowledge, our home has everything to do with our sense of well-being. And of course, there's a lot of, Western science to support that idea as well. Remember that the goal in sacred space is not necessarily to have a big home or a fancy home or the perfect home, but it's to have a home that feels peaceful, organized, and conducive to all other aspects of wellness that you're trying to approach. You have space for movement. You're fairly decluttered so that you're not overwhelmed with visual noise all the time. You have a safe home, drug-free, alcohol-free, where your children can play in peace. You have books to read. You have healthy foods in the cupboard. These are the things you want to keep in mind for sacred space. There's a lot of reasons why many of us are overwhelmed and stressed by the state of our homes today, and there's no judgment here. A lot of that comes from difficult histories and things that we've experienced. But we can all get to a place where we treat our home as a relative once again, where we develop this relationship of reciprocity with our surroundings, where we understand that it's not just a chore or a task to keep things tidy, but it's our duty to this structure, this living structure that takes care of us in the way that we take care of it. I read that a lot of times in the old days, our people viewed the home as an extension of our family, not just a, lifeless object that has no soul, but as something that has a spirit and that helps our spirits and our minds and our bodies to thrive. So take care of your home as if it's an elder, as if it's a relative, and your home will take care of you in return. So for Monday, in our hypothetical example here, let's pick one task and pick a very specific designated amount of time and just tell yourself, I'm going to do the best I can in this 1 or 2 hours that I have in my day. Commit to it like how you commit to a workout and say, today is my day of sacred space. I am going to clean out and organize my pantry like I've been meaning to do. Or I am going to just do a really thorough, nice job of cleaning my kitchen today. Or I'm going to go around and gather all the laundry and get the laundry going and make all the beds. Whatever it may be, choose a task for taking care of your home. And that is going to be your wellness practice for Monday. So moving on to Tuesday, the third circle of the week, the third day of the week. And today's going to be our day for food. Now, I wanted to put food also fairly early on in the week because I want your intention with food on this day to set the stage for the rest of the week to come. My recommendation is to go grocery shopping on this day, to make this the day where you gather what you need in order to cook for the rest of the week. The second most important thing is whatever you choose to eat that day, obviously you want it to be something nourishing, something healthy, something that's not fast food or takeout. You want to put your energy and your intention into really consciously doing a good, nourishing meal on this day. But whatever that is, make sure that you focus on that on Tuesday. So plan a meal. Go grocery shopping. And even if you can't, every single night of the week, sit down and eat with your partner, with your roommate, with your family, at least one day a week, if you're doing that once a week, that will feel like at least somewhat of a balanced approach as time goes on. So in this hypothetical example, it's Tuesday, you've gone to the grocery store, you've gotten what you need, you've looked up a recipe or selected something that you have in mind, and you're going to cook this day. You're going to eat with intention. When you do sit down to eat on that day, you're not going to have your phone. You're not going to be scrolling or watching TV while you're eating. You're going to be focused on whomever it is that's sitting across the table from you. And you're going to approach your eating mindfully. So you're focusing on your food. You're focusing on your company. You're really feeling gratitude and honoring that food that's on your table. So those are all things to keep in mind on your day for food on that Tuesday. So the fourth day of the week, it's going to be Wednesday. And on this day, I want this to be our day of movement. So movement, fitness, exercise, whatever you want to call it. Hopefully we're obviously working out or eating healthy even beyond, these days. But this is just an opportunity to say at least one day a week, I'm really intentionally focused on XYZ. So Wednesday, if you haven't yet worked out that week, it's not too late to start. Choose some type of physically challenging activity and fit that in to your day on Wednesday. You might want to go to the gym and lift some weights. You may want to open up YouTube and take a yoga class or a Pilates class. You may want to go for a long walk with your dogs. Whatever exercise you choose to do, make sure that at least one day a week, and in this hypothetical example, it's Wednesday, make sure that you are really intentionally focusing on getting your movement in and pushing yourself to work your body that day. And obviously there are so many benefits to movement that go beyond just our physical health. Movement boosts our mood. Movement helps us to sleep better at night. When we're moving our bodies, our minds are more able to focus. So there's so many benefits to movement that go beyond just building muscle or flexibility or the physical health aspect. It's really a holistic practice. And when you approach movement with the sense of, the mentality of a powwow dancer, I'm dancing for the people, moving for the people. I'm using my strength and grateful for the health and the strength that I have, in acknowledgement that I may not always have these abilities, or not everybody has this ability. And so I'm going to move for those who can't. That's how I want you to approach any workout that you do. And that's going to make it feel much more fulfilling, much more worthwhile. And in truth, that's the tradition of our people. That's how we have always approached movement, with that spirituality aspect of it in mind. So choose an exercise, pretty simple, just like the other days. Choose what you're going to do, plan when you're going to do it. Say to yourself, whether it's 10 minutes or whether it's 3 hours, make that commitment and try to follow through. So now we're getting toward the end of the week. It's Thursday, and this is the day I've selected to focus on the circle of ceremony. For those of us that are Indigenous, that grew up with going to, actual ceremonies, that's a part of the circle of ceremonies, our spiritual practices. But even if you're not Indigenous, and even if that's not your way of life, there are other things that fit in that circle of ceremony that are important for the well-being of all people. So for example, rituals, routines, and habits. Those, when approached with intention, are an aspect of our health and well-being that is often so overlooked, but so important. So what I want you to do on this day of this circle of ceremony is I want you to think about a daily task that you sort of have to do anyway. Brushing your teeth, putting makeup on, washing your face, waking up in the morning, going to bed at night. What is a routine that you have that feels very mundane or blasé? And how do you elevate that routine to a space of ritual by adding intention into that time? Let's use, for example, something that we all have to do on a daily basis, which is our shower or our bath time. Whether that's at night or in the morning, it doesn't matter. I want you to approach that time with a little bit more intention than what you typically put into it. So rather than just think of it as like, I have to shower because it's hygiene, think of it as a time for cleansing. You're washing off your anxieties, your worries, your stress. You have a moment to yourself and really approach that time as a time for self-care. Maybe that means that you give yourself some extra time. Maybe that means that you have to shift your mindset and even just go into it with that intention of, this is going to be my self-care. But I promise you it will make all the difference if you have even 5 to 10 minutes in your day where you are saying, this is not just a routine, but this is a ritual. This is a time for my self-care. And when you are in those moments, focus on affirmations, focus on positive self-talk, focus on turning off the noise of the day, taking deep breaths, thinking about positive thoughts, what you're grateful for, what went well that day, what you appreciate about yourself, your life, your family. It doesn't always come second nature for us to have those moments in our day where we think about that stuff. But I want you to incorporate that into your circle of ceremony. For some of us, it's going to come more naturally that you sort of take the time to do that every day of the week. But in this example, if no other day, at least do this on Thursday as you're, getting ready in the morning or getting ready for sleep at night. Friday is here, and this is going to be our circle of community. The main thing with community is that it includes family, healthy relationships, and in-person connection. The studies are overwhelming that shows that our lack of connection is one of the main things that's leading to chronic mental health disorders and depression and anxiety widespread in our society today because we are lacking connection. And so we have to consciously incorporate that back into our wellness routine. If it's Friday, I think it's such a good day for it because it's too easy to slip into a habit where maybe everybody gets home from school and work and goes and does their own thing and we all ignore each other and we all go watch our own shows or whatever. Don't let yourself fall into that. Maybe Friday is your day for socializing, for consciously, going on a date night or taking a walk with your kids or connecting with, a family member. Call your grandma, call your mom. Do something in that circle of community on Friday that keeps you connected in person with the people who you care about. Because remember, when we contribute to our communities, it gives us a sense of fulfillment, a sense of responsibility, that feeling of, oh my gosh, like I'm a part of something bigger than myself and I'm needed. And other people need me. It gives us laughter. It gives us the time to vent, the time to talk, the time to connect. We need that time. And so if you haven't done it yet in the week, let Friday be your intentional day for community and connection. So that leaves us with Saturday, our last day of the week. And here I chose land. So connecting to land and earth is paramount for our sense of well-being. We have to be out in the sun. We have to be out in the elements. And obviously, depending on the season, that can be more or less challenging and depending on where you live. But if you got to do it at least once a week. If you're a person that is accustomed to and you have access to being out on the land, you have places where you go to hike or hunt or fish, or you have parks, that's kind of been a part of your routine anyway, then you know what to do. But even if you're not that person, like you live in the suburbs or you live in the city, remember that you don't have to be on, an Instagram-worthy mountaintop in order to have a connection to land. You can go outside, you can read a book on your patio, you can take a long walk around the neighborhood or around the block. There are a lot of ways to establish a connection to land. Even if you are in, an urban environment, you're still in the air, in the sun, and that is going to make a difference for you. So on Saturday, because typically we're not working on Saturdays, we have more time, let that be your day where you focus on saying, I'm going to get outside today. I'm going to have a connection to land. A lot of these circles overlap. Maybe on that day for connection to land, you invite your family or your kids or a friend. Well, there's your circle of community. And maybe what you're doing is active and you're hiking or you're walking. Well, there's your circle of movement. Or maybe what you're doing is you're going to the garden, wherever you grow, your food, or you're going and sitting outside for a meal or whatever it may be. There's your circle of food. So again, these are not necessarily meant to be separated into different days of the week. In fact, we encourage you to get to a point where you're incorporating 2 or 3 circles per day and you're noticing those connections. This is simply a way to say, kind of organize it and say, at least once this week, I really intentionally focus on one of the 7 circles. So that's just an example of how you can do 7 days, 7 circles of wellness. I hope that you find this approach easy and accessible. And remember, don't necessarily, listen to me or how I do it. Like, figure it out for yourself. Like, incorporate, as long as you're incorporating all 7 of these circles in a way that works for you, that makes sense to you. At the end of the day, at the end of the week, the year, you're going to start to feel that balance. And all of this, the goal is for it to become second nature, to where you don't necessarily have to plan it out and really think about it. The goal is for all of these to just start to become a part of your routine, a part of your rhythm. And that's how it was for our people. And that's how it can be for us once again. So thank you all for joining me for this kind of 7 days, 7 circles of wellness approach. And I encourage you all to live in balance, to seek balance, and remember that well-being is who we are as Indigenous people. Wellness has always been our lifestyle, and you can get back to that today.